Welcome back. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing the Los Angeles Rams 3-round mock draft. We did an entire full 3-round mock draft, and so we're going to break down the picks from the Los Angeles Rams within the top 100. Ryan, if you want to pull up their first pick here. So quickly, just to orient you on what you're seeing on the screen here, obviously the Rams pick is in blue. We're going to get to Kool-Aid here in a second. But we did include a couple of picks before and after just to provide some context to some of the players that were taken off the board before their pick and then also after. And to the right, we also wanted to include some other potential options and routes that they could go and some other specific players and where they were picked in our mock draft. So we ended up going with Kool-Aid McKinstry here. I think I picked 19. The first half of the first round, the more and more mock drafts I do, I think just the more and more offensive heavy it's going to be. So there's going to be a couple of edge players, I think, taken there, like, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse. Maybe a cornerback could be taken early on. But I think with the performance of the offensive tackles, and also then, too, a lot of teams knowing that they can go and get a good receiver in the second round, I think we're going to start to see the switch here where it's going to be a little bit more offensive heavy, especially offensive line heavy early on. And then the defensive players are going to fall in this range. So it's very possible that the Rams are taking the first cornerback off the board. Just with this new switch now. Also, too, just watch it here in this video. We did do this mock draft before the Senior Bowl, just as a heads up here. So we're going to include then also some context as well to our thoughts on the Senior Bowl. So Kool-Aid McKinstry, though, here, I really like him. He had a great career at Alabama. He was also one of the leaders of that defense, also calling a lot of plays, calling a lot of audibles as well from the reports that I've been reading. So very knowledgeable, very smart, good leader in the locker room here. And if you're the Rams, watch them with playing the playoff game, really just throughout the season. Offensively, man, they're going to be set. I mean, they already got the transition for Cooper Kupp moving on. Puka Nacua, he's going to be that guy. Kyron Williams is phenomenal. Offensive line is a lot better than what it was in 2022. So Matt Stafford still got a couple good years left in him. We're going to touch on that here in a second. But defensively, though, outside of Aaron Donald, still just very young. A lot of good people that they can build around, like Brian Young, their edge rusher here, Kobe Turner also. But I think they need to address the secondary. We kind of have similar thoughts here. We picked Kool-Aid because I think we just liked him maybe a little bit more than Terry Arnold. They can obviously go with Terry Arnold. I can see them going with Cooper DeJean. Quinion Mitchell had an amazing Senior Bowl. Nate Wiggins also. I think he was taken at 15. No, he was taken at 13.
13, yeah.
So he was off the board by now. I just think secondary, I think the way it's going to work out, they're going to have their pick of the litter on the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cooper DeJean came off at 12. Nate Wiggins was shortly after that. And then Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terry Arnold, Quinion Mitchell, Ennis Rakestraw Jr. out of Missouri. To me, that all of these guys are very similar. I think they all just do some things a little bit better. To me, Kool-Aid McKinstry is the most corner of all of them. What I mean by that, Cooper DeJean is very versatile, right? He can play corner, he can play in the slot, he can play safety. Nate Wiggins is probably the most athletic, but also probably the most raw of the group. So I think he has the highest ceiling. To me, Kool-Aid McKinstry, if you need a guy to come in, plug and play, he's going to be your outside corner from day one. This is your guy. And to me, I think that's exactly what the Rams need. They need that outside corner. Akella Witherspoon is a free agent. I think the Rams do have some cap space to potentially bring him back. But to me, I think if you're going to go with secondary, Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be your plug and play starter in this draft class. Played at a really high level at Alabama, played against really good competition. So I really like this pick. I think that's going to be a very solid pick going forward. I do think if one of the edge rushers falls, Latu had a really good Senior Bowl. If he's there, keeping him in LA would be a cool story to follow. Jerson Newton, get a guy next to Aaron Donald. I don't know if they would go that route per se, because they did go Kobe Turner and Byron Young last year in the draft. But then Jared Verse also, or Dallas Turner, if one of those guys falls as well, edge rusher. I just think the Rams are going to be able to capitalize on everybody else going offense, because that is where the meat of this draft is. I think they'll be able to get some really good defenders here early on in this class.
Yeah. It's anything defense. It really is honest. Outside of, I would say, I don't want to say receivers off the board, but really any pick. I think any position is really on the table here. Even if there's an offensive lineman that they really like. So
Yeah.
let's move on though now to the second pick. I probably foreshadowed this a little bit more. Did have them taking Bo Nix here with their second pick overall. They want to start to at least prepare for life after Matt Stafford here. He's 35 now, going to be 36, I think, at the start
He's
of
taking a
next season.
beating over his career.
Yeah. Detroit would do that too. We did pick him here before the Senior Bowl, and I have fallen a little bit on Bo Nix, but at the same time, though, too, this second tier of quarterbacks with Penix, Nix, McCarthy, and I'm even going to throw Spencer Rattler in there as well now, and I'll get to him here in a second. I just don't really know. It's just how are teams going to judge them? Like that's just going to be the biggest thing. And where do you take them here? Because there's so much talent around them. Because even too, we have Xavier Leggett, Javon Bullard. I can absolutely see the Rams needing. If they wanted some linebacker help, I mean, shoot, there are two linebackers taken right before them. So there's also even going to be a lot of good offensive line talent, interior offensive line talent that we talked about as well. And so still going to be here in the top 55 in picks. So it's our team's going to want to take a pick there to develop a quarterback, or like, we'll wait and see just because this player could help us out right now and we can still develop him more. So it's going to be interesting to see, but we kind of more included this pick, and I don't know about you, but kind of include this pick just kind of more as in the philosophy and the theory of like planning for life after what's his name?
Matt Stafford. Yeah, I agree. That is kind of the basis of this pick. I will say Bo Nix didn't have the greatest Senior Bowl. However, I think you look at his progression throughout the week. He did get a little bit better each day, and then actually didn't play terrible in the game. And
he played better than Sam Hartman.
Okay, that's a really low bar. And so like for me, I think you look at him and like, all right, there's physical tools there. He needs some development in an NFL system. Stetson Bennett it does not sound like he's going to be with the team for the second year in a row. As a fifth round pick, that doesn't really bode well for your longevity at the NFL level. And I really think that they are wanting to heavily invest into life after Matthew Stafford, just to make that as smooth of a transition as possible. And I think Bo Nix is a guy that would fit that system really well because Sean McVay does a great job of simplifying things for quarterbacks. And I know that's not exactly what you want to hear when like you're talking about a quarterback, but I think Bo Nix would thrive in that system of 1-2 reads. All right, he can scramble and then kind of create for himself. So I do like this fit. Maybe at 52 after his Senior Bowl performance, it is a little high, but let's get into here at pick.
Wait, I will say one thing just to include. I'm sure if you're Michael Penix Jr. was taken 42nd by the Minnesota Vikings as well.
Yeah.
So I think that could be another option just because I think him in the system, I almost would like that pick a little bit more just with how quick all those guys are and how it's like going to be a gunslinging type offense. I think Penix would fit into this system probably as well. But also that being said, though, I also like him in Minnesota as well.
I will say I don't know.
Throw that in there.
I don't know if McVay is as much down the field as Minnesota is. Like, I think McVay is a lot more about timing, whereas Minnesota and I forget the head, Kevin O'Connell, they throw the ball more down the field. They give their receivers like more opportunities.
Yeah.
Whereas
I would just throw that out there. I was just throwing that out there. So if you're still with us here, though, before we get a third pick, be sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell. Ryan and I, we're doing our 7-round mock draft series next. So I should be seeing that here within the next week or two for the Los Angeles Rams. So if you want to see that, be sure to ring the bell and subscribe. Also, it's the easiest way to help grow our channel. Focused on here now on the interior offensive line. Probably keep building that. They did get Steve Avila last year, but I think going with Cedric Van Pran, center from Georgia. I don't know if I said his last name correctly. I got the Van.
It's Van Pran.
Right? It's Van Pran. Perfect.
Yeah.
It'd be like I'm horrible with names, and that's the easiest one I feel like to say next to Jackson, which is right before. So, anyways, I think just developing at the interior offensive line. Who is their center here? Because there's another reason why I think we wanted to go there. So they do have Coleman Shelton and Kevin Dotson, their right guard. Coleman Sheldon is their starting center, according to our lads as of right now. They're both free agents. Also, then too, their backup right guard Tremaine Antrim Jr. Is also a free agent as well. So I think adding some more just interior offensive line depth, no matter who the quarterback's going to be, you're going to need that help, and also keep building around Kyron Williams as well. So
Yeah,
I just kind of want to throw that out there.
For me, I think the sweet spot in this draft for interior offensive linemen is going to be the end of the second round or the early fourth round. That's where I think a lot of these guys are going to go off the board. The Christian Haynes, the Christian Mahogany, Cedric Van Pran, that type of player. I think that's where a lot of these guys are going to start coming off the board. And Cedric Van Pran, just because he's picked at 83rd, I think probably a day one starter for you. Played at a really high level in the SEC. Really smart football player, and I think just go ahead, draft him, and he's now the center in your offense. I really like him as a player. He's not a Jackson Powers Johnson where he's like this extremely talented center. He just is not going to make a lot of mistakes. He's just going to come in, he's going to snap the football well, he's going to block well, know his assignments, and great. He's not going to do anything spectacular. He's not this elite athlete. Just he's going to do his job, and I think that's why he's a third round pick. Whereas Jackson Powers Johnson was possibly one of the most talented offensive linemen at the Senior Bowl, and is most likely going to be a late first, early second round pick in my eyes. So let's go ahead and get to the recap here. Clayton McKinstry at pick 19, probably the most plug and play corner in this class. Developmental quarterback Bo Nix taken in the mid-second round here. Let us know your thoughts on this one. Planning for life after Matthew Stafford is probably a smart thing to do given his age and just the beating he's taken over his career. And then at pick 83, Cedric Van Pran, the center from Georgia, just a do-good football player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I think if you're the Rams, I think this is a really good class. I think you have some high-end talent there. The first round, you have a good developmental prospect in the second round, and you just have, I think, a safe pick in the third round, somebody that's going to come in and give you some quality snaps right away as a rookie there in the third. So I really like this draft. Tyler, what are your overall thoughts?
I think this is great. I think the Bo Nix pick, I think maybe more like just the quarterback focus. Go get the quarterback that you like.
Yeah.
And so in general, I think if you're the Rams fan and those are your first three picks, I know we picked them, so I know we're going to like them. But just in general, though, I think the quality of those three picks, considering where they're at, I think is one of the better ones in the draft.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on what you thought of this mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let us know what you would do differently. And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.